Some changes arrive quietly, without urgency or alarm. A moment of dizziness while standing, a fatigue that lingers longer than expected, a small lapse in memory that feels out of place. These experiences are easy to brush aside, to fold into the familiar narrative of aging. Yet the body, even in its quietest voice, rarely speaks without reason. It does not rush or demand, but it does persist. And within that persistence lies a kind of wisdom that asks only to be heard. Over time, many seniors learn to live with discomfort as if it were a companion. A slight ache becomes routine. A disrupted night of sleep becomes expected. The body adjusts, and so does the mind. But there is a difference between adapting and overlooking. The body does not always signal distress with sharp pain or obvious disruption. Often, it speaks in subtleties, a shift in appetite, a change in balance, a feeling that something is just slightly off. These are not interruptions, they are invitations to notice. What makes these quiet signals significant is not their intensity, but their consistency. A symptom that returns, even gently, carries meaning. It suggests that something within is trying to recalibrate, to restore balance. For many older adults, these moments are easy to dismiss because they do not interfere dramatically with daily life. But the absence of urgency does not mean the absence of importance. In fact, the earliest signals are often the most valuable, offering a chance to understand what is changing before it becomes something harder to manage. There is also a deep emotional layer beneath this tendency to overlook. Many seniors have spent a lifetime caring for others, enduring discomfort without complaint, and maintaining strength through difficult seasons. That resilience, while admirable, can sometimes make it harder to acknowledge vulnerability. It can feel unnecessary, even burdensome, to pay attention to something that seems minor. Yet listening to the body is not a sign of weakness. It is an extension of the same strength that carried a person through earlier years. As the body ages, its signals may become softer, but they do not lose their meaning. They simply require a different kind of attention, one that is patient, observant, and respectful. This awareness is not about fear or constant vigilance. It is about recognizing that the body continues to communicate, even when its voice grows quieter. And in that quiet, there is an opportunity to remain connected, to remain aware, and to remain present within oneself. There is a common belief that many changes in later life are simply the natural course of aging. Slower movement, occasional forgetfulness, reduced energy, these are often accepted without question. And while it is true that the body evolves over time, not every change belongs to that natural progression. Some signals carry a different message, one that asks for more than quiet acceptance. The phrase, "just getting older," can offer comfort, but it can also create a kind of distance from what is actually happening. It can become a gentle dismissal, a way of explaining away discomfort without truly understanding it. For many seniors, this mindset is shaped by years of hearing similar reassurances from others, family members, friends, even well-meaning professionals. Over time, it becomes easier to accept that explanation than to question it. Yet the body does not rely on labels. It responds to conditions, to changes, to imbalances. A persistent fatigue may not simply be age. It may be the body asking for attention. A change in appetite may not be routine. It may be a signal that something deeper has shifted. The challenge lies not in identifying every possible cause, but in remaining open to the idea that something deserves a closer look. There is also a quiet dignity in recognizing when something does not feel right. It does not require urgency or alarm, only honesty. It is the ability to pause and acknowledge that a certain change feels unfamiliar, even if it is not painful. This awareness is not about rejecting the process of aging. It is about honoring the body's ongoing effort to communicate. Many seniors carry a lifetime of experience, an intuitive understanding of their own rhythms and patterns. They know what feels normal and what does not. That inner knowledge becomes especially important in later years, when external explanations may not always capture the full picture. Trusting that sense of awareness can be a powerful way to remain connected to one's own well-being. Aging does bring change, but it does not erase the body's ability to signal when something needs attention. The difference lies in how those signals are received. When they are met with curiosity rather than dismissal, they become an opportunity, not a disruption. They offer a chance to understand what is happening beneath the surface and to respond with care rather than assumption. There are certain symptoms that, while common, carry a quiet weight. They do not announce themselves loudly, but they linger in ways that are difficult to ignore once noticed. A sudden drop in energy that does not improve with rest. A gradual loss of appetite that changes daily routines. A persistent discomfort that settles into the background of everyday life. These experiences are often subtle, yet they leave an impression. Memory changes, too, can carry a delicate significance. Forgetting a name or misplacing an item happens to everyone. But when these moments begin to feel different, more frequent, more disorienting, they can create a quiet unease, not fear, but a sense that something has shifted. This feeling is often the first signal, long before any clear pattern emerges. Balance and coordination also deserve attention. A slight unsteadiness, a hesitation when walking, a need to hold on to something for support. These are not always dramatic, but they matter. They affect confidence, movement, and the sense of independence that many seniors value deeply. These changes may come gradually, making them easy to overlook until they become more noticeable. There are also internal signals that are less visible but equally important. Changes in sleep patterns, unexplained weight fluctuations, or a general sense of discomfort without a clear source. These experiences can be difficult to describe, yet they shape how a person feels throughout the day. They influence mood, energy, and the ability to engage fully with life. What makes these symptoms significant is not their presence alone, but their persistence. When something continues without clear resolution, it becomes part of the body's ongoing conversation. Ignoring it does not silence that conversation, it simply delays the response, and over time that delay can make the message harder to interpret. Recognizing these symptoms is not about creating worry. It is about acknowledging that the body continues to communicate, even in its quietest moments. Each signal, no matter how small, carries information, and when that information is received with attention rather than dismissal, it becomes a guide rather than a burden. There is a quiet cost to waiting, not always immediate, not always visible, but present nonetheless. When symptoms are set aside repeatedly, they begin to settle into the fabric of daily life. What once felt unusual becomes familiar. What once raised concern becomes routine. And in that transition, something important can be lost. The opportunity to understand what is changing while it is still gentle. Delaying attention often comes from a place of patience, even strength. Many seniors have learned to endure discomfort without complaint, to adapt rather than react. But there is a difference between endurance and neglect. Endurance carries awareness. Neglect sets it aside. Over time, that distinction becomes significant. There are moments when a symptom remains manageable for a long period, only to become more complex later. Not suddenly, but gradually. A small imbalance becomes more pronounced. A mild discomfort becomes harder to ignore. These shifts do not happen overnight, but they do follow a path. And that path often begins with something that once seemed too small to matter. Emotionally, the cost can be just as meaningful. Living with unresolved discomfort can create a quiet strain. It may not be visible to others, but it shapes the way a person moves through the day. It can affect confidence, limit activity, and create a subtle sense of uncertainty. These are not dramatic changes, but they are real. There is also the matter of independence. Many seniors value their ability to live freely, to make their own choices, to move through life without restriction. When symptoms are overlooked, they can gradually influence that independence, not all at once, but in small ways that accumulate over time. A hesitation here, a limitation there, until something once effortless requires more effort. Responding earlier does not guarantee simplicity, but it often allows for clarity. It provides a chance to understand what is happening while the body is still offering gentle signals. It allows for a more measured response, one that aligns with the pace of the change, rather than reacting after it has already progressed. Waiting is not always a conscious choice. Sometimes it is simply the result of uncertainty, of not wanting to make too much of something small. But in the quiet language of the body, even the smallest signals carry meaning, and recognizing that meaning can make all the difference in how the story unfolds. There is a quiet strength in listening, not reacting with fear, not searching for certainty, but simply paying attention. The body, even in its later years, holds a deep intelligence. It remembers patterns, it recognizes imbalance, and it communicates in ways that are often subtle but consistent. Trusting that communication requires patience, but it also brings clarity. Many seniors develop an intuitive understanding of themselves over time. They know how their body feels on a good day, how it responds to rest, how it adjusts to change. When something feels different, even slightly, that awareness becomes a guide. It does not need to be explained immediately. It only needs to be acknowledged. Confidence in this awareness grows when it is honored. When a person allows themselves to notice a change without dismissing it, they create space for understanding. This is not about becoming overly focused on every sensation. It is about maintaining a connection, a quiet attentiveness that does not interfere with life but supports it. There is also a sense of dignity in this kind of listening. It reflects a respect for the body, an understanding that it continues to matter, that its signals are still worthy of attention. This perspective shifts the experience from one of decline to one of ongoing relationship. The body is not something to endure, it is something to remain connected with. In that connection, there is balance, awareness without worry, attention without urgency. It allows a person to move through life with both confidence and care, knowing that they are not ignoring what matters, but also not overwhelmed by it. Listening to the body is not a task, it is a presence, a way of remaining grounded within oneself, even as the years bring change. And in that presence there is a quiet reassurance that nothing important is being overlooked. In the end, awareness is not about fear, it is about preservation, preserving the ability to move freely, to think clearly, to feel at ease within one's own body. These are not small things. They shape the quality of each day, the sense of independence, the feeling of peace. Health in later years is not defined by perfection. It is defined by balance, by the ability to recognize when something shifts and to respond with care rather than dismissal. This approach does not require constant attention, only a steady awareness, a willingness to notice and to respect what is noticed. There is a quiet peace that comes from this understanding, knowing that the body is being heard, that its signals are not ignored, that each change is met with thoughtful attention. This peace is not the absence of uncertainty, but the presence of trust. Trust in one's own awareness, in the body's ability to communicate, and in the value of listening. As the years continue, this awareness becomes a companion, not intrusive, not demanding, but present. It supports independence, reinforces confidence, and allows for a deeper connection to life as it is now. It is not about holding on to the past, but about caring for the present. In this way, health becomes something more than physical condition. It becomes a relationship, one that is built on attention, respect, and quiet understanding. And within that relationship, there is something deeply valuable: the ability to move forward with clarity, with dignity, and with a sense of peace that comes from knowing nothing important is being left unheard.